Hello, my name is Catherine, and I am one of the 3 full-time professional tutors here at RIMCAD at the SLC. I specialize in anything related to your interior design classes, anything from drafting to learning Revit, all the way to making that final senior portfolio. All right, I wanted to go over how to materialize a floor plan or an elevation in Photoshop using patterns. So we can see that we have this we can see we have this tab open on the right-hand side of Photoshop. And the way I got to that is by Windows and then going down to Pattern and opening up the tab. Now, the first thing that you want to do before actually bringing any patterns in is, of course, finding the patterns that you want to use. So, for instance, I have this image that I really liked, and I'm going to use it pretending that it's a fabric of some kind. I also, as you can see here on the right-hand side, have other patterns as well, and I will go through each of those and talk about them a little bit. But first, we want to make sure that this image is of good quality and that it is the right size. And so I did that by going to Image, clicking on Image Size, and then changing that here. Again, I left it at 72, but usually a good quality of image is anywhere between 150 and 300. Obviously, that takes up more file space, so it'll be a larger file when all is said and done. So you do want to be mindful of that. But 150 with a few of these images in a file probably won't overload anything. It'll be a pretty simple image still. And so then obviously we want the size to be a little bit different than 45 inches. I think that I ended up making it 6 inches. Okay, so that's how you do that. And as you can see, having this open and playing with that image size, I did do that several times for each of these choices that I made. So I have several of these brown materials. They're all different sizes. I have different sizes. I have different versions of this pink. It's actually a tile pattern. One, I changed the directionality of it, and then I also changed size. So it definitely might take a try or two putting it into the project and seeing how it looks to scale of the floor plan that you're working in. Okay. And so, for instance, this pattern is of its own layer. So if we went to layer, we have all these different patterns here. Okay. I'm actually going to Control Z, so that goes back to where it was. And then if I say I don't like that size or that directionality, let's try this other one. And so it just fits it in that space because I have that layer selected. Okay. I'm going to go back to this because I think I like it vertical instead. This is of its own layer. It is the desk. And then I'm going to zoom in really close to this chair. I selected this in 3 different parts. So I am actually going to Control Z several times, and I'm going to go back. And so we can see that I have selected with my quick select tool here on the left-hand side, just the arms and the back of the chair. So I put that fabric in that selection, it filled that space, and then it is no longer selected. So then I use my quick tool again. I'm using my bracket key to make it smaller, or the bracket key on the right to make it larger. Okay, I'm going to select that space. I can use Control plus to zoom in. And maybe I want to get really close into this little nook and cranny so there's the least amount of white as possible. And then I'm going to use that same fabric and I'm going to put it on. And so now this looks more realistic because the arms are not the same as the seat. The pattern is a little bit off, okay? that also is ensuring that I get all my black lines. Missed it a little bit there. If you're not too worried, then it's not going to make that big a difference with something this small when you're looking at it. Same with that white that I missed for the tile in between here. If I had wanted to be nitpicky about that, then I would have re-selected all of that and made sure that it got the floor tile. Now I am going to select this larger area, and I actually, for the purpose of this assignment, I don't need to show the elevations, so I can go ahead and cover them, so I don't have to quick select and be really specific around those symbols. So I'm going to go ahead and just grab them, make sure that they're all filled. Okay, see how we're going around the doors nicely, we're going around this piece. So that is selected nicely. And so now I'm going to put this hardwood floor. And that is too large, right, for that scale. So then I'm going to try this one down here, and it's much smaller. So I like that much better. I'm also going to, whoops, this is not what I meant to do. So I'm going to reselect that desk, excuse me, I'm going to materialize that desk. And of course it did not work because I did not have it selected. Okay, so that's why I got it in the background of all of this. So I'm going to Control Z to undo, and I'm going to reselect that desk. And I'm going to Control Z again. I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to try that one more time. I'm going to make the space a little bit smaller. And so it is wanting to select this whole big area. So if that becomes an issue, we could go back and get rid of the floor, and then do the desk over again and then put the floor back in, or we can use the minus button. I'm going to make it bigger, and I'm just going to get all of this out of the way. So this is riskier because you might end up missing a part of the selection, and then you might have this weird little spot, you know, somewhere in between here, this door or something, where we forgot to unselect it. But because this is such a large area, I feel pretty confident in my skills to not do that. Okay, so I'm catching all of those little stragglers of the selection, and now I have just the desk. So now I can go back to this pattern and put it just into that. However, it's big. We're not really seeing a lot of the interesting pattern in this. So I chose the other one, which was the smaller version that I had already created. Okay. You can also, instead of putting a pattern or something inside of a door or a wall for the poche, you can always just fill it with the paint bucket. However, that sometimes comes with its own set of issues. And so we will be just moving on. All right, so those are some of the basics for materializing this floor plan and also the elevations for this same class. Good luck with yours, and see you next time. All right, so thank you for watching the video. I hope that it was helpful and that you can continue on with your assignment with success. If not, feel free to reach out to myself or anyone here in the Learning Commons. Good luck.